Okay, well, thank you for being here. My name is Teddy Kimball. I'm a market gardener in Pine Island where I live with my wife and two young kids. I am running against Steve Jacob in the Republican primary next Tuesday, August 11th, for state senate here in our district. I call myself out not as a liberal or conservative, but as an agrarian. And for me, that means I value rural development, widespread property ownership, family farms, small towns, local manufacturing and food production, and political decentralization. I'm challenging Steve Jacob with a good faith platform that prioritizes bottom-up, community-driven platform policies without trying to push social issues on you and your family. So I'm asking for your vote on August 11th in the Republican primary for state senate. So I'm coming here today as part of 5 campaign events across our districts. I started a couple weeks ago in Pine Island, where I had a good faith discussion of data centers in our state and presented my 3-point plan to try and protect our communities, which includes capping their special sales tax exemption, amending our noise laws to include C-weighted and Z-weighted averages, which would capture their low-frequency hums and vibrations that affect our homes and livestock, and to require a certificate of need so that they cannot freely construct diesel power plants in our backyards. Last Wednesday, I was in a Plainview breaking down fraud in our state structurally and showing that how if we remove the misaligned incentives, we can stop it altogether. And I made a call to action to end the multitude of troublesome childcare and daycare programs across our state and to redirect those funds into universal childcare within our existing school districts where we already have local oversight and management, and to provide care where our working families need it the most, right here in our communities. On Saturday, I went to Cannon Falls to make the progressive case to eliminate income taxes and describe the original wealth tax we had in our state and why it's time for the third change third era of tax relief for our working families. Today, I'm going to make the agrarian argument for legalizing small farms and natural homes. And then on Saturday, I'm going to Red Wing to explain why our election process is rigged for establishment Democrats and Republicans, and what we can do with a few changes to make it so that independents and third parties can join the race once again. Okay, so this topic is by far the most personal to me. See, about 5 years ago, I decided to quit my job to become a farmer, to start a market garden business, and to grow food for my community. But it turns out our counties all have severe restrictions on small farms. You can't just buy 20 acres, build a home, and start a small farm anymore. For example, Winona County requires 40 acres of land. Wabasha County says that we can only have 1 farm for every 80 acres. And Goodhue County only allows 4 family farms for every 640-acre section of land. And I found one section of Olmsted County that required only 35 acres. So we sold our life savings, cashed out of retirement, and bought 37 acres of land. Even then, I had to spend thousands of dollars to have them surveyed and combined before I was legally allowed to build a small agricultural building. And after a few years, I finally broke down and decided to accept the first rule that everyone told me when I was getting into this. If you're gonna grow food on your farm, you need to live on your land. But I quickly realized how restrictive the building code was too. It's effectively impossible to create a small natural home without spending an arm and a leg on licensed professionals and engineers. And even though I have a master's degree of architecture, we bit the bullet and we put up a mobile home on our land. I call it regulatory compliance under a roof. Indeed, I really believe that the American dream started to end with the restrictive zoning laws of the 60s and 70s and the restrictive building code that started in the 70s and spread throughout the state afterwards. Now, the original good faith reasons for these was to protect the agricultural economy of rural America and to protect our regional environments, and to do so by protecting them from urban sprawl and new heavy manufacturing that was sweeping across the United States in the mid-1900s. But the timing of some of these laws after the Civil Rights Movement and after the Fair Housing Act also calls into question their motivation, especially since the limits that they put on almost exactly match the makeup of the current lands, and there are no further economic or agricultural arguments provided. Now, regardless, I believe the future is agrarian, and I believe we need to switch from centralized, efficient, and global modes of agricultural production into distributed, redundant, and local modes of production. So I still support the notion that we need to protect the agricultural economy. I just don't think that the current zoning regulations are getting it done. For example, our cities have the legal right to grow and annex land on their borders. And by forcing only large parcels of land, we make it easy for them to effectively and efficiently buy that land and have developers convert it into rezoned into residential land, and urban sprawl grows. And likewise, around Pine Island, Cannon Falls, we make it easy for large industry to come and purchase large sections of land and use their global purse to have them rezoned and apply for variances that the rest of us don't get. And further, I believe that these large parcels of land lead to a race to the bottom in agricultural production, where we have to grow commodity agriculture. But this doesn't benefit our family farms. It benefits the global corporations like Cargill and Bayer that run the entire trade system. And I still support our notion that we need to protect our regional environment. But again, I don't believe that the agricultural zoning laws have succeeded in doing this. By pushing us towards a conventional commodity system, we're in a situation where we have increased nitrate levels and pesticide problems across the state. And so, fundamentally, I believe the future is agrarian. I don't believe we need more corn and soy commodity grains. I think we need more locally produced fruits, vegetables, eggs, poultry, and pasture-raised meats in our community. We need a food production system that's prepared to weather global supply chain disruptions and to revitalize our rural communities instead of benefiting just a few. So I say the future is agrarian, and it's time to take back our natural rights and start making rural America work for the rest of us. Thank you all.